Whenever the phenyl is converting tyrosine, the tyrosine converting into the melanin pigment. What is melanin pigment? Melanin and the color of the skin is due to the melanin pigment only. Okay, some people are totally black in color because they are having much more amount of melanin pigment. Okay, so they are producing much more amount of melanin pigment in their body, so they are distributed throughout the body, so that's why they are a little bit black. Whereas if you compare it with the other person which is totally white in color, that means the melanin pigment is becoming very low in that. Okay, so this tyrosine is converting into the melanin pigment. Have you heard this word moles? Moles అంటే ఏంటి? మన 10th class లో రాస్తాం. A mole on the left hand elbow, a mole on the right hand thigh, something రాస్తాం కదా. So that means what the moles? Whenever this melanin content is distributed throughout the body, so that means the melanin is distributed throughout the body, but some of the melanin pigments are stored in some places. So those are called as the moles. Melanin is stored in some of the places, so those are called the moles. Okay, so that is the melanin pigment formation. Okay, and coming to thyroid hormones. So thyroid hormones are also synthesized by the help of this tyrosine and phenylalanine. Okay, so thyroid hormones like T3, T4, so these are formed from the thyroid hormones are formed from the tyrosine content only. And coming to the next one called the dopamine. So the dopamine is also involved in the CNS formation. I will show each and everything the point about that. Okay, and coming to the catecholamines like epinephrine, norepinephrine, all these are catecholamines. Okay, so these catecholamines are also synthesized by the same amino acid called the phenylalanine tyrosine. Okay, so this is the fate of the phenylalanine tyrosine. So first one is it's converting into glucose, second one is converting to fat, third one is converting into melanin pigment, it can be converted to catecholamines, it can be converted to thyroid hormones, it can be converted to the dopamine formation. Okay. See here. The phenylalanine is an essential amino acid, tyrosine is a non-essential amino acid. It is phenylalanine is converting into the tyrosine molecule. Okay, so ingestion of tyrosine can reduce dietary requirement of phenylalanine. If we are taking tyrosine directly, so there is no need of phenylalanine because the phenylalanine also converts into tyrosine molecule only. If we are taking tyrosine directly, so the phenylalanine is not at all required. So that's what we have written. Ingestion of tyrosine can reduce the dietary requirement of the phenylalanine. So they are referred as the sparing action of tyrosine on phenylalanine. So they serve as precursors of glucose and fat. As I already told you, these are both glucogenic and ketogenic. That means this amino acid can be converted to the glucose, or else it can be converted to the fat content only. That's what we have written here. Okay. Coming to the metabolic process, first of all, Roscoe and phenylalanine tyrosine. Rasara points, Rasara get first. Okay. Because it's a long answer question, okay, in your biochemistry. So the phenylalanine tyrosine metabolism, they will ask us a long answer question. Please read it and make it a 3 stars for that. మీకు ఏమి రాకపోయినా సరే కనీసం ఇది రాసినా సరే దే విల్ గివ్ 4 marks. Okay, so these are the products which are formed from the phenylalanine and tyrosine. Okay, कुछ थोड़ा आसरा Coming to the next one. So in the metabolism, so how I was telling that the phenylalanine is converting into the tyrosine molecule. How this phenylalanine is converting tyrosine molecule? As phenylalanine structure here, it is converting into the tyrosine molecule by the help of enzyme called phenylalanine hydroxylase, which requires the tetrahydrobiopterin, which will convert the tetrahydrobiopterin to dihydrobiopterin by converting the phenylalanine to the tyrosine molecule. It also requires the coenzyme so that the dihydrobiopterin will be converted back into tetrahydrobiopterin. For that, the NADPH is required. One more time, I am telling you. So this is phenylalanine, isn't it? So the phenylalanine have to be converted into the tyrosine molecule. So how it is converted? By the help of one enzyme called phenylalanine hydroxylase. So what is hydroxylase means? It is donating one OH group. The phenylalanine hydroxylase will donate one OH group which is added to the para portion. Here you can see, you can't see any phenylalanine OH group here. So, but here the OH group is added there. How it will be? Because the phenylalanine have to convert into tyrosine. For that, the OH group should be required. That OH group is produced by the enzyme called the phenylalanine hydroxylase. So this phenylalanine hydroxylase will donate the hydroxyl group, OH group, to the para portion of the phenylalanine, which is converted into the tyrosine molecule. So for the conversion of this, it also requires the tetrahydrobiopterin. The tetrahydrobiopterin is converting into dihydrobiopterin. Okay, again, so it also that means the cycle will go on. The dihydrobiopterin is forming up there. Dihydrobiopterin again have to convert into the tetrahydrobiopterin. For that, what is required? The coenzyme called the NADPH is required. So the NADPH is converting this dihydrobiopterin to the tetrahydrobiopterin, which itself convert back into the NAD by the help of enzyme dihydrobiopterin reductase. Just write the phenylalanine is converted to tyrosine by the help of enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. More points are important. Okay. For you people, the phenylalanine is converted into the tyrosine. So by the help of the enzyme called phenylalanine hydroxylase. Don't draw any structures and all, just write the names. Okay. ఇంకేం రాయొద్దు, జస్ట్ ఫెనాలిన్ డైరోసిన్ ఫార్మేషన్ దానికి ఎంజైమ్ ఏం కావాలంటే phenylalanine hydroxylase. Okay, that's also called PAH. Phenylalanine hydroxylase. They will call you as PAH. So whenever that means the essential amino acids converted into the non-essential amino acids called the tyrosine here. Okay. So after this, up to here we discussed the phenylalanine is converting the tyrosine. This tyrosine is converting into p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate. So that means the alpha ketoglutarate is donating its NH2 group and the NH2 group is removed here and forms the glutamate. మనం చెప్పాము transamination reaction. Transamination reaction అంటే ఏం చెప్పాము? That means it will transfer the amino group. What's transferring? The amino group is transferring up here. So you can see the NH2 group here. Okay, this NH2 group is transferred to the alpha ketoglutarate. So whenever the alpha ketoglutarate is taking up this NH2 group, it is converting into the glutamate formation. Okay, so that means the NH2 group is released out. So what form it forms? A p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate. P means para portion, the hydroxy group is there. So that's the p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate. CH2 C11OH చేసే pyruvate. Okay. ఇది అసలు టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో ఉంటుంది. So don't draw all these things and right. What is that? What textbook you are following up? Sachina, that will be enough. Okay. So this p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate by the help of the ascorbate is converting into homogentisate by the help of enzyme p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate dioxynase. This homogentisate, it will break up this phenyl, break up this structure Okay, benzene structure, and it forms a structure called the 4-malonyl ester by the help of enzyme homogeneous oxidase. Okay, so here what we discussed, the phenylalanine is converted into tyrosine. The tyrosine undergoes transformation process. It forms a structure called phenyl pyruvate. So this phenyl pyruvate is converting into homogeneous by the help of enzyme p-hydroxyphenyl pyruvate dioxinase. That means one more OH group is added, and this portion OH group is added to the fourth portion. Para portion only, meta portion is, this portion is called the meta portion. From the para portion is called the para portion, is called the meta portion. Okay, so the OH group is transferred from the para portion to the meta portion, and one more OH group is added by the help of one more dioxinase, which is added to the other area. Okay, so this structure is called the homogeneous. So again, by the help of homogeneous oxidase, it will cleave the benzene structure. It will cleave the benzene structure and forms a structure called 4-malonyl ester. So this 4-malonyl ester is converting into 4-fumaryl ester by the help of isomerization reaction. That means some isomerization and it will convert the same structures or change it from one place to other. So that's called isomerization. So by the help of isomerization structure, the 4-malonyl ester is converted into 4-fumaryl ester. So this 4-fumaryl ester, as I told you, first one it is converted into glucose. It is also converted into fat content. Okay, so because it's both glucogenic and ketogenic. Okay, so the pure fumaryl ester state, by the help of enzyme hydrolase, it's converting into fumarate. So if fumaryl ester is converting into fumarate structure, so the fumarate will enter into the tricarboxylic acid cycle, and it by the help of gluconeogenesis process, it will convert into glucose. Okay, the 4-fumaryl ester state is converting into fumarate. By the help of gluconeogenesis process, the fumarate will be converted back into the glucose molecule. So that means whenever we are not taking any carbohydrate diet, at that time what the protein we are taking up, in that protein if the phenylalanine molecule is there, it will convert into tyrosine, and this tyrosine will be converted to the glucose molecule. At the same time, it also convert into fat content. How it will be converted? Fumaryl ester fumaryl తీస్తే ఏమవుతుంది fumarate అయిపోయింది, ఇంకేముంది ester that's called the ester. So the ester is converting into acetyl CoA. This acetyl CoA is entering into the lipids. Okay, so that means the phenylalanine tyrosine is converting both into glucose and some is converting into the fat content. So that's why we call it as both glucogenic and ketogenic amino acids. So these are not required for you people, but for MBBS only. So if any enzymes or deficiency is there, so that condition is called, if the enzyme or first enzyme, the phenylalanine have to convert to tyrosine. For that enzyme, what I told you, PAH, phenylalanine hydroxylase. If that enzyme is absent at that time, so that condition leads to phenylketonuria. How this phenylketonuria is forming up there? Phenylalanine is converting into the tyrosine. Okay, so if the enzyme, the phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme is absent, this enzyme is absent, so the phenylalanine cannot be converted to tyrosine. The phenylalanine have to convert to tyrosine molecule. For that, what enzyme is required? The phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme is required. If this enzyme is deficit, okay, the enzyme is deficiency is there, if it's not there in our body, so then what the time the phenylalanine cannot be converted to the tyrosine molecule. So whenever it's not converting a tyrosine molecule, it will enter into the other pathway. What pathway? So that means the phenylalanine is converted by the help of transaminase. It's converting into phenyl pyruvate, which is converted into phenyl lactate, phenyl estate, and phenyl estate glutamate. So these phenyl estate and phenyl lactate are called keto groups. So that's why this structure is leads to phenylketonuria. One more time, the phenylalanine have to convert into tyrosine. If the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme is absent, So at that time what will happen? It will enter into the other pathway by the help of transamination process converting into phenyl pyruvate, which is converting into phenyl lactate and phenyl acetate. So these two are the keto groups. So that's why this structure leads to phenyl ketonuria. What is the condition called? Phenyl ketonuria. Okay. So this phenylketonuria is observed. Most common metabolic disorder in women metabolism is 1 in 10,000 births. అంటే 10,000 మందిలో ఎవరికో ఒకరికే వస్తుంది. So that's why called 1 in 10,000 births. Deficiency of the enzyme. What enzyme I told you? That phenylalanine hydroxylase is the enzyme which is deficiency there. That leads to condition called phenylketonuria. Okay. So what's happening there? It's converting into phenyl pyruvate, which is converting into phenyl lactate and phenyl acetate. Okay. All these metabolites are excreted in urine in high concentration. That is called phenylketonuria. Okay. I think here what's happening here? So the urine smell, because all these things are excreted in the urine. All these phenylketonuria bodies, which are called the phenyl lactate, phenyl acetate, phenyl pyruvate, all these three will be excreted in the urine. So whenever it's excreting in the urine smell will be observed. What type of smell will be observed is the mousy color odor. Mousy odor. Mousy ante yelaka smell lo vasta untadannamata. Okay. So phenyl acetate gives a mousy odor. That means whenever the urine is excreted by this person who is having the enzyme deficiency of phenylalanine hydroxylase, the phenylalanine is not converting into the tyrosine, so it's converting into other products. So which leads to condition called the phenylketonuria, which gives a color odor called mousy odor. Just phenylketonuria and petti irani. So in many textbooks is not there. Feel and textbooks kuda levu. So please write. So this thing also they will ask you then short note answer, what is phenylketonuria and what type of odor of the urine will be observed. Okay, the mousy odor. అక్కడ చిన్న బ్లాక్ వేసుకొని phenylketonuria అని రాసుకోండి. షోయింగ్ మౌసీ ఆర్డర్ ఇన్ ద యూరిన్ అంతే. పక్కన చిన్న బ్లాక్ వేసుకోండి. బ్లాక్లో phenylketonuria showing a mousy odor, shows a mousy odor in the urine, mousy odor of the urine. సో phenylketonuria అయితే జస్ట్ ఇది రాసిన సరిపోతుంది. ఓకే. So వాటిని ఎలా ఇంటర్ చేస్తామంటే ఫర్ అన్బేస్ పీపుల్ ఓన్లీ, జస్ట్ ఫర్ యూ పీపుల్ ఆల్సో టు మేక్ యూ అండర్స్టాండ్. So when the person is having phenylketonuria, So mainly we will little times only we will see, you will observe here. So one, because it's 1 in 10,000 births only we can see. ఒక 10,000 బర్త్స్లో ఒక మనిషికి ఈ కండిషన్ ఉంటుంది. దట్స్ కాల్డ్ ఫెనైల్కెటోనురియా. సో ద పర్సన్ ఇస్ హ్యావింగ్ మెంటల్ రిటార్డేషన్, హైపోపిగ్మెంటేషన్. హైపోపిగ్మెంటేషన్ అంటే ఏంటి? మనం చెప్పాము ఆ ఫెనైల్ అనేది మనకి మెలనిన్ పిగ్మెంట్ ఫార్మేషన్ అవుతుంది అనేసి. అక్కడ మెలనిన్ పిగ్మెంట్ ఫామ్ అవ్వట్లేదు కదా, అంటే ఫెనైల్ టైరోసిన్ ఫామ్ అయితేనే టైరోసిన్ నుండి మనకి మెలనిన్ ఫామ్ అవుతుంది. సో మెలనిన్ పిగ్మెంట్ ఇస్ నాట్ అట్ ఆల్ ఫార్మింగ్ అప్ దేర్. సో దట్ లీడ్స్ టు హైపోపిగ్మెంటేషన్. దట్ మీన్స్ కలర్ బి లైక్ హియర్. ఓకే, నెక్స్ట్ సీజర్స్ అంటే డోపా ఉండడం వల్ల, డోపా గురించి చెప్తాము. డోపా, ఎగ్జిమా అంటే దురదలు వస్తాయి. ఓకే, సో ద మౌసీ ఆర్డర్ ఆఫ్ ద యూరిన్ బి అబ్జర్వ్ హియర్ పర్సన్. ఓకే, దిస్ సఫరింగ్ దిస్. Just కింద రాయండి, just name of test. So for this we perform two tests. One is called the Guthrie's test and the ferrichloride test. I don't want to go deep into this because you people are not having all these things. So only the people write that we can identify the phenylketonuria by the test called the Guthrie's test. Okay, identify the phenylketonuria by Guthrie test. రెడ్ కలర్లో ఉన్నది రాయండి, GUTHRIE, Guthrie test. You can identify the phenylketonuria by the test called the Guthrie test. You can identify the PKU, that's called phenylketonuria, by the help of the and test called Guthrie test. పక్కన కామా పెట్టేసి Guthrie పక్కన ferrichloride test. These two tests we have to perform to check.
దీనికి ఏమైనా పెట్టాలి, దీనికి పెట్టామని ఏం పెట్టమని.
సో ఇయర్ పాడ్స్ ఎవరైనా ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేస్తే మాత్రం నాకు తీసుకొచ్చి ఇచ్చేసేయండి. డిపార్ట్మెంట్లో ఉంటా. రాసులు సంబరాలు చెప్పినట్టున్నా, ఎవరో పిల్లడు తప్పాడు అన్నట్టు. సో ఓకే, వాళ్ళ ఇయర్ పాడ్స్ ఎవరు మిస్ అయ్యింది, సో ఇయర్ పాడ్స్ ఇచ్చేసాను. సో one more disorder we have to write, that is called alkaptonuria. ఇక్కడ చూడండి. So please listen. So the first test one, what we told, the order will be observed. Okay, so mousy order is seen in the phenylketonuria condition. Okay, so it's the other condition where we can see the alkaptones in the urine. చూడండి, వాడు ఎవరైతే the condition, if the person is having the condition called alkaptonuria, if the person is excreted the urine will turn to black color, అంటే Coca-Cola కలర్లో మారిపోతుంది అన్నమాట within 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, so that condition is called alkaptonuria. Okay, so not only alkaptonuria, even the person is having some ochronosis. అంటే చూడండి, you can see black color on the face. ఇక్కడ కానీ ఆ black color will be observed, black patches will be observed the person. Okay, that's called alkaptonuria. రాయండి alkaptonuria అని పెట్టి alkaptonuria. Just write the enzyme deficiency is homogenesic acid oxidase. Homogenesic acid oxidase, రెడ్ కలర్లో ఉంది. alkaptonuria, homogenesic acid oxidase. Right, the last point, alkaptonuria means the urine turns in black color due to oxidation of homogenesic acid to black color quinone products on long standing, which shows a black color urine. The last point. Here we are observing two conditions. One is called phenylketonuria and the alkaptonuria. That is the alkaptones. That is the alkaptonuria and the homogeneous acids converting into the alkaptones. So which gives a black color because due to oxidation is taking place when the urine is exposed to air. So it will turn black color. So within 10 to 15 minutes the urine color will change to black color. Okay. So the first one it's converting to glucose, it's converting into ketones. Okay, that's ketone fat content. Okay, in this some enzymes are deficiency that contributes to phenylketonuria and alkaptonuria condition will be observed. These two conditions will be observed mainly here. Okay, so coming to the next one called the catecholmin synthesis. What are catecholmins? Catecholmins are called the epinephrine and norepinephrine. What is the role of epinephrine and norepinephrine? ఇంకా ఇంకేముంటాయి ఎక్కడ వస్తున్నాయి సో నార్మల్లీ when you're talking about the regulation of blood glucose regulate చేయడానికి having the insulin is the main thing which can regulate the blood glucose. If more amount of glucose levels are observed here, at that time what they will do, they will do some insulin or they will inject the insulin. Okay, insulin is on the other half. So to increase the glucose levels, if the person is having hypoglycemic ki other hormones saying hypoglycemic రావాలంటే requires the epinephrine and norepinephrine. Okay, so these catecholamines are also synthesized by the phenylalanine content. Okay, the phenyl is converting to tyrosine, the tyrosine is converting to dopa, which is converting to norepinephrine and epinephrine. Just write the names. Tyrosine is converting to dopamine. Just write the names. Tyrosine converting to dopa is converting into dopamine, which is converting into norepinephrine, or norepinephrine by methylation is converting to the epinephrine. And heading behind the catecholamines. Okay. Packing enzymes and rhinos just to tyrosine, dopa, dopamine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine. Okay. Next. So that means from the phenylalanine we are getting these two catecholamines called the epinephrine and norepinephrine. Okay. So as I told you, the functions of catecholamines it regulate the carbohydrate and lipid metabolism, it stimulate the degradation of triglycerides and glycogen. It also increases the BMR. What BMR stands for? Basal metabolic rate. Okay, basal metabolic rate. And it increases the blood pressure also, and they will act as neurotransmitter in the brain. Okay, so these things, that means the catecholamines are having different various functions. So one is called the regulation of carbohydrate, at the same time it's also regulate the lipid metabolism. Okay, and in the increasing the blood pressure also, the catecholamines are required, and first thing it acts as a neurotransmitter in the brain. Okay. Next, synthesis of melanin. Synthesis of melanin. Already much discuss just now what melanin means. Okay, melanin is a black color pigment, so it gives black color to the skin, hair, and eyes. The synthesis of melanin occurs in the melanosomes present in the melanocytes. The tyrosine is a precursor for melanin, and one enzyme namely tyrosinase is involved in formation of melanin formation. Just try and synthesis of melanin occurs. The synthesis of melanin occurs in the melanosomes present in the melanocytes. The tyrosine is precursor of melanin. The tyrosine is a precursor of melanin. The last point, tyrosine is the precursor of melanin.
Last point.
Tyrosine is the precursor of melanin formation. చిన్న హైఫన్ పెట్టేసి ఎంజైమ్ కాల్డ్ టైరోసినేస్. Okay. So from this tyrosine also we are getting the melanin formation. So how the melanin is coming up? The tyrosine is converting to alpha. Last point రాయించాలి దాన్ని ఇంకా మెయిన్ థింగ్ అదొకటే. So the tyrosine is converting into DOPA, which is converting into dopaquinone by the help of enzyme tyrosinase. So this dopaquinone will be converted into, by different reactions, it's converted into black color melanin pigment. Okay. So simply what we told, the tyrosine by the help of enzyme is converted to dopaquinone on different spontaneous reactions. That means many of the reactions are there. So even in textbooks also only few things you will write. Okay, but many of the reactions are taking place here to form the structure called the black color melanin pigment. Okay. So have you heard this? Have you seen this person anywhere? అలాంటి వాటిని చూసారా? బోర్డు మీద కనబడుతుంది చూడరా? చూడలేదా? So here the person who is having this condition is called albinism. That means మనం ఏం చెప్పాము, మెలనిన్ ఏం చేస్తుందని చెప్పాము, that gives the color to the body, okay, to the eyes, the eyelashes, and all these things. So but here the person is totally having the absence of the enzyme called the tyrosinase. The enzyme is the tyrosine. That means from the tyrosine is converted into the melanin formation. So when this enzyme tyrosinase is deficit, so at that time we can see this condition called the albinism. What is the condition called? Albinism. So you can see the face here. So with having only light color on the eyelashes, light color eyebrows, even the body face also is totally light color, and this person can't see properly also. Okay. You are your girlfriend. Okay. మనకు తెలతల అమ్మాయి కావాలి కాబట్టి. So she is also there. Okay. ఒకటి మీకోసం ఒకటి వాళ్ళ కోసం. So that means here this person is suffering from albinism. Okay. ఇది కూడా చూసుంటారా?
అది కాదురా.
This is called vitiligo. That means light patches on the skin, white color or light color patches will be seen here. So that's called vitiligo, where the loss of pigmentation around the nose, mouth and eyes will be observed. That condition is called vitiligo. And some persons are having even body and face and everything will be good, but on the hands only you can see the white color patches. So that condition is called the leukoderma. So because what are the deficiencies there? 90% they are taking the high amount of protein content, which contains the phenylalanine, which can be converted into tyrosine, but the tyrosine is not converting into the melanin pigment due to the deficiency of the enzyme tyrosinase. Due to the deficiency of the enzyme tyrosinase, the tyrosinase cannot be converted to melanin pigment formation. So because of the absence of this formation, so we can see these different conditions called the vitiligo and leukoderma. Even the albinism also will be observed because the total body is not having any melanin pigmentation. The last one, thyroid hormones. As I told you, it's also involved in formation of thyroid hormones like T3 and T4. just find the sense of thyroid hormones T3 and T4. Sure. Here I told you synthesized from tyrosine residue protein called thyroglobulin. Okay, so this is the thyroglobulin is called tyrosine residue. To this, the iodine molecules, if one molecule of iodine is added, then it's called monoiodotyrosine. Okay, thyroglobulin molecule, which is called tyrosine residue. To this, the iodine molecules have to be added. Okay, so if the iodine molecule is added, then it's called monoiodotyrosine. Okay, if two iodine molecules are added, then it's called diiodotyrosine. To this diiodotyrosine, if one molecule of one more iodine is added, then it's called triiodotyrosine, which is also called as T3. If two molecules of iodine is added, so to the two molecules of already added iodine, so that's called T4 structure, which is called thyroxine, triiodotyrosine and thyroxine. That means T3 and T4 are synthesized from the tyrosine molecule only. Okay. So this is about the phenylalanine and tyrosine. So in this class, we discussed about the different types of amino acids, the two aromatic amino acids. In that aromatic amino acid, we discussed about phenylalanine and tyrosine. They will give you as a long answer question only. So in the others in the 4 marks question, also the melanin pigmentation or the alkapnuria or the phenylketonuria, they will ask you the short note answers. Okay. So here, first of all, what are things we discussed about the aromatic amino acids, because amino acids are classified into different classes. So in that, we are talking about the aromatic amino acids. What are aromatic amino acids? Phenylalanine, tyrosine and tryptophan. Because all these three are contained in the benzene rings, so that we will call it as aromatic amino acids. So in this, the first one we discussed about the phenylalanine. So the phenylalanine and tyrosine both are interrelated or intercorrelated. So why we are calling? Because the phenylalanine, which is an essential amino acid, can be converted into a tyrosine. That's why the tyrosine is called a non-essential amino acid. So that means what phenylalanine we are taking up into our body as an essential amino acid is converting into tyrosine. The tyrosine is entering into the different metabolic pathways to form into glucose, or it may form into fat content, or it may form into melanin pigmentation, it form into thyroid hormones, it may form into apochrome and all. Okay, all these things are formed up there, or catecholamines. Okay, they are the metabolic fate of the phenylalanine tyrosine. So first thing, we have the phenylalanine have to be converted into tyrosine. For that, one enzyme is required, is called phenylalanine hydroxylase. If this enzyme is deficient, what the condition observed? It's called phenylketonuria, PKU, phenylketonuria, where the phenylactate, phenylacetate, phenylpyruvate are accumulated and it will be excreted in the urine, which gives water will be observed in the phenylketonuria. Mousy order will be observed in the phenylketonuria patient. That means the enzyme deficiency is the phenylalanine hydroxylase. So the phenylalanine is converting into tyrosine. So here you can see the benzene ring where it's the para portion, the hydroxyl group is added by the help of the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. This converting tyrosine, the tyrosine is converted into p-hydroxyphenylpyruvate transformation reactions by undergoing is converting a homogen state. Homogen state is converting 4 malonyl acetate state. 4 malonyl acetate state is converted to 4 fumarate acetate state, which is converting into fumarate structure and the acetate state structure. I told you this is both glucogenic and ketogenic. So that means the 4 fumarate acetate state is converting into fumarate and some part is converting into acetate state. The fumarate is converting into glucose and the acetate is converting into lipid content, okay, or fat content. So I am not talking about all the remaining also. There many of the enzyme deficiency will list tyrosine type 2, neonate tyrosine type 1. But you people will be having much more about the phenylketonuria and alkapnuria. These two conditions are they will ask in your examinations. Okay, so what's phenylketonuria means? Any of the enzyme that's called phenylalanine hydroxylase enzyme is absent, so the phenylalanine cannot be converted into the tyrosine molecule. So when a tyrosine molecule not converting, that is entering into the other pathway, so it's called the phenylpyruvate. The phenylpyruvate is converting into phenylactate and phenylacetate. Okay, these two are called the ketone formation. So that's why the excreted urine contains the phenylketonuria. Okay, which gives what type of order? Mosey order. Okay. So this will be observed by the help of two tests. What are the two tests? One is called the GF, that's called the Guthrie test, and the ferric chloride test. Okay, GF, that's called Guthrie test and the ferric chloride test. And coming to one more thing, that's called the alkapnuria. So here also the enzyme, one enzyme called the homogenisate oxidase enzyme is absent. So due to the homogenisate oxidase enzyme is absent, it's converting into alkatones, which where the urine turns its color into black color or coke color. Okay, so that's why alkapnuria. At the same time, these are called the alkapnuria means urine turns black color due to oxidation of homogenisic acid to black quinone products on long standing. Here you can also not only black color is observed, you can see the urine sample here. So where it's turned into, normally it should be pale yellow color, but here you observe this black urine color is changed to black color. At the same time, along with that, you can see the ochronosis. That means the black color patches on the faces and all. Okay, that's called ochronosis. And we can also see some other conditions called kyphosis. Okay, means hypothermia. That's called kyphosis conditions, and kidney and clostridials will be observed here. Okay, it is also involved formation of catecholamines to regulate the BP, to regulate the blood glucose, to regulate the lipid profile also. So catecholamines are required. What are the catecholamines? Epinephrine and norepinephrine. So how is epinephrine and norepinephrine forming up? So they are from the tyrosine only. Tyrosine is converting into DOPA. DOPA is converting into dopamine, which is converting into norepinephrine and then to epinephrine. So here we forgot to talk about the dopamine, okay, which is inside the brain. Parkinson's disease and తెలుసా మీకు? మన మామూలుగా అంటే ఏజ్ ఓల్డ్ పర్సన్స్ ఆఫ్టర్ కంప్లీషన్ ఆఫ్ 60 కాదు 70 to 80 years కంప్లీట్ అయిపోతే వాళ్ళన్నీ మర్చిపోతున్నారని చెప్పి అంటూ ఉంటారు. ఓకే, సో మెయిన్లీ నాట్ ఓన్లీ దట్, హియర్ వీ కెన్ సీ ద ట్రెమర్స్, రిజిడిటీ, అంటే మా చేతులు కలుగుతూ ఉంటాయి కదా. Okay, it's called tremors condition to be observed here. So mainly when the dopamine levels are dropping by 80%, that means we are talking the tyrosine converting into the DOPA. Okay, so our dopamine ఏంటంటే ఈ కంటెంట్ కానీ తగ్గిపోతూ వస్తుందంటే, so that leads to condition called Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease. Okay, so where you can see the track called tremors, rigidity, okay, slow movements, late features, expressionless face will be observed in the person who is called the Parkinson's disease. Just the Parkinson's disease and just site in the hiding betty occurs when dopamine levels below 80% or drop by 80%. Features and heading side heading betty, the tremors, rigidity, slow movements, expressionless face. Expressionless face will be observed in the person who is suffering from Parkinson's disease. And DOPA form out చెప్పాం కదా, from DOPA is converted dopamine. So if the dopamine is not synthesized much more, so if it is less than 80%, these other conditions will be observed. Okay. And we also discussed about the melanin pigment formation, how the melanin is pigment forming up there. So tyrosine converted DOPA, DOPA is converting dopamine, where undergo spontaneous reactions converting into the melanin formation. So if the melanin is not formed in the body, that means due to the enzyme deficiency called tyrosinase. What the enzyme deficiency there? The tyrosinase is the enzyme deficiency where the melanin pigment is not formed by the body from the tyrosine molecule. Okay, so that leads to condition called albinism. Okay. And here also you can see some other conditions where the vitiligo and leukoderma will be observed. The person who is having less amount of melanin pigment formation. Coming to thyroid hormones, even thyroid hormones are also sensed from the thyroid molecule only. The thyroid is converted into T3, 4 and T4 molecules. Okay. So, if their case is the case, a 3-month-old male, that's MBBS వాళ్ళు చెప్తా ఉంటాము. Okay, a 3-month-old male infant brought to pediatric OPD with complaints of a poor feeding, irritability and delayed milestones. అంటే ఆ బ్రెయిన్ అంత షార్ప్ పని చేయట్లేదు, డిలేడ్ మైల్స్టోన్స్ అంటే ఆ ఏజ్ తగ్గట్టుగా వర్క్ అవ్వట్లేదు. ఓకే, సో ఇట్స్ కాల్డ్ డిలేడ్ మైల్స్టోన్స్. ద మదర్ రిపోర్ట్స్ వాట్ ఆఫ్ ఆర్డర్ విల్ బి అబ్జర్వ్డ్ musty and mousy order to baby urine and clots. On examination, fair complexion ఎందుకు వచ్చింది? Because the melanin pigment is not forming up there. Okay, compared to parents, intellectual disability also observed because document is often not there, so the intellectual disability also observed. What is the condition called? Melanin deficiency, which leads to albinism. Okay, albinism అంటారు. ఫస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ఆల్ అంటే డెఫిషియన్సీ అది, కానీ మెయిన్ కండిషన్ అంటే మస్టీ ఆర్డర్ మౌసీ ఆర్డర్ అంటున్నాం కాబట్టి దట్స్ కండిషన్ కాల్ phenylketonuria. Okay, so in the next class we will discuss about the tryptophan and one more, I think 2 more classes are there. Okay, with this we can complete the protein metabolism. Thank you.